This was the moment this afternoon when Edward Snowden, wearing a black rucksack with his back to the camera, climbed into a car and disappeared into Russia, the biggest country in the world. For 5.5 weeks he'd been stuck in limbo in the transit zone of Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport, insisting that he would not go to America to face trial. And tonight his lawyer showed me a copy of the document that grants him political asylum in Russia for at least a year. He told us Edward Snowden's in a hotel, but he wouldn't say where.
The
question of his security is obviously very important. A great power is trying to catch him, and the name of that power is the United States of America.
In a statement, Edward Snowden himself said, "Over the past 8 weeks, we've seen the Obama administration show no respect for international or domestic law, but in the end, the law is winning." This evening, however, Russia's longest-serving dissident pondered whether he knew what he was doing.
He had the most noble intentions, promoting freedom of information in America, but he finds himself in Russia, where the situation is much worse.
Over the last 2 months, Edward Snowden has lifted the lid on the mass electronic surveillance, in particular a program that has been collecting internet data. America is seeking him on multiple espionage charges, including theft of government property and unauthorized communication of national defense information. Even today, there were more revelations from Snowden in the Guardian newspaper, suggesting GCHQ has received £100 million of funding from the US intelligence services in recent years.
By granting Edward Snowden asylum, the Kremlin is making a calculation, plotting several moves ahead in a diplomatic game of chess. It won't mind upsetting America a bit, but President Putin won't want to alienate President Obama altogether.
President Obama is supposed to be in Moscow in a month's time for the first full summit between the two leaders. Now that is in jeopardy.
We are extremely disappointed that the Russian government would take this step despite our very clear and lawful requests in public and in private to have Mr. Snowden expelled to the United States to face the charges against him.
Relations between the two countries were already bad. Today, after what seems to have been a deliberate maneuver by President Putin, they took a definite turn for the worse. Daniel Sanford, BBC News, Moscow.